Let's reverse engineer your way right to your destiny. Welcome back, friends. It's Leanne Wolf, your human design professional and your BG5 business and career consultant. Today, I want to talk about outcomes. And what's really interesting is that human design kind of turns the whole view of spirituality kind of on its head. And it asks us to really begin to trust our cellular structure. But if we don't actually know what that means, what that feels like, it's really difficult for us to manage and move through this little journey that we're on and come to an outcome. So something that I love is I'm starting to look at the design, at the construct of human design through this transcended view that Ra always talked about. And I'm going to share some things with you throughout my journey. And some of you might go like, you're nuts. And some of you might go, yeah, okay, I get that. And everybody has their own journey through design. And you might get to, a gate and you might go like, oh my gosh, I am so disgusted that I have this gate, and I'm really beat down about this, and I'm very upset about it. But there's always the transcended level. I want you to remember that Ra wrote this information for the not self. So let's just walk through this and recognize I'm transitioning quite a bit into the business world, because that really is what the Sleeping Phoenix is moving us towards, is for us to embrace our own capitalistic entrepreneurialism and integrate our spirit and be able to initiate through the consciousness field into this movement. So I want to talk about outcomes because all too often we get sold on a dream that really isn't ours. That's really what entertainment, right? It enters into your mind and trains you in a way that takes you down this path that actually was never for you. So I'm going to give you some homework today as well, because I think it's really important for us to recognize, like, what are you moving towards? What are you moving towards? There's some really fascinating, gurus out there. There's some really fascinating spiritual people that I've heard say this often. If you were to have a conversation with yourself 5 years, 10 years, 20 years out into the future, would your future self be disappointed that you never stepped into your potential? So Matthew McConaughey, not that I'm a huge celebrity person, because I'm definitely not. He intrigues me in some of his conversations that he has. And one of the things that he was asked is, who's your hero? Who's your hero? And he had to ponder that for a moment. And then he said, my hero is me 10 years in the future. And the person he was speaking to, I don't recall who the person was that he was having this conversation with, was like, what? Wow, I've never heard anything like that. So his vision and his outcome, he was always looking, and still does, I'm assuming, I don't know, but I'm assuming that, he's always looking at himself 10 years down the future and looking at himself as that hero that stepped into the potential, that took the risk, that didn't allow for the defeatist mentality, the defeatist conditioning to hold him back. So the homework I want you to do today is, can you take a minute and just begin to visualize You know, people say this all the time. Visualize yourself out in 5 years. Visualize this. What is that sensation that you want your future self to have? What is that feeling that you want your future self to hold? So we talk a lot in human design about the signposts: satisfaction, frustration, success, bitterness, anger, and peace, and disappointment and awe. And we look at those and they're just words, and we put them into our mind and we're like, okay, this is what I'm striving for. But do you know how that feels? If your physicality was to look from today and go into the future, 5, 10, 3 years, 10 years, 20 years, 3 months, 6 months, 1 month, a week. If you were to go into the future, do you know what satisfaction actually feels like? Can you feel it? Do you know what success feels like? And I am not, you will notice that there's maybe a few videos on my whole channel here that ever talks about having success and recognizing that through stuff. You know, how big is your house? How many yachts do you have? What's your Lamborghini? I don't focus in on that because that's not the end game here. It's not the end game. Are those things nice to have? Yeah, of course they are, but they don't create the person. So what does satisfaction, success, peace, awe, what does it feel like at a cellular level? So that when you're looking, okay, into the future, when you're taking your map, that human design body graph, and you're like, okay, here's my starting point. I get it. This was me at the moment that I was born. And you take that map and you walk through it in your life. What are those moments of satisfaction that you can embed into that cellular structure? So that when you're looking at yourself into the future and seeing that outcome, what is that feeling? So again, I've transitioned into business because that's what business needs. That is what capitalism is asking us for. Integrating our self, our truth, our cellular structure, our beautiful minds, integrating all of this and walking our path and using those guideposts as a cellular outcome. Like for me, satisfaction is it's almost like a walking meditation. Do I always feel satisfied? No, I don't. But I do my best to hold that frequency of satisfaction so that when I am helping clients, so that I am out with my cattle, so when I'm interacting with my friends, and when I'm having conversations with my family, and I get to hold that vibration, then all of a sudden, what happens is that outside reality can go, let's match this frequency. Okay. So in my business, what brings me complete satisfaction is not going to bring another manifesting generator or express builder the same satisfaction. It's your gauge. What does satisfaction feel like to you? What does that peace feel like to you? Then you get to hold that vibration as the outcome. Okay. Because what we're doing, I'm going to share my screen here, is we're actually moving along this journey, right? We're moving along this beautiful journey. And what this journey is saying to us is along the way, there's going to be all kinds of things to see and experience and love and hate and, bump into and enjoy. There's going to be lots of that going on. So how is it that you, my friend, can hold that frequency so that you into the future actually recognizes the journey. Recognizes the journey. That's what Ra always said. We're here to notice. We're here to witness. Are you witnessing? Are you holding that frequency? So burnout is like top word when we look at anything in the entrepreneurial world. Burnout happens when we're trying to force ourselves into somebody else's mold or into somebody else's journey. What design does is it provides us with a structure, so that structure you can then meld and mesh and move and use that framework, that map as your guide, but holding that frequency, knowing what you want the outcome to be. Now, do you want the outcome to be a mansion on a hill? Potentially. But you have to look at and sensationalize, feel it in your body. What does that outcome feel like? And then recognize the movement down the road to get there. So an analogy that I use is my father was he constructed roads. And in order for that road to be constructed, there had to actually be an engineer that could hold that outcome, hold that frequency of that outcome. So we have start A to point B, and we're going to build the road. In between there's going to be ups and downs and things, and maybe there's going to be an environmental thing, or they're going to run into something that they can't move and they have to go around. Maybe there's somebody that says, no, you can't come through my property because of whatever reasons. So there's a whole bunch of along the journey. But in order to get to point B, that engineer holds and creates the blueprint of that. And then all the workers can come along and do all the work. Everything can get done. The journey can be seen. And then at the end, all of a sudden, there's this beautiful opening up. People can travel in different ways. There's this beautiful opening up because along the way, income was made, relationships were made, transformation took place. So those are the kind of things that you, my friend, can do to increase your presence in your business. Okay? So, homework. Where you are right now to where you want to be. Is that future you your hero? Why is that future you your hero? What are the sensations? What are the emotions? What is that cellular structure feeling at that hero moment? Drop into that. And then we can use the human design body graph as your map, as your business plan, and as your blueprint to walk into that outcome. Okay? Now, one outcome, you might be setting up yourself for 6 months out, or 3 months out, or 3 years out. You might be moving yourself that way. Know that the outcome is always, it's always extending. It's always extending. It's always extending, because I'm going to share this with you as well. All six lines, that's where the pinnacle, right? The real yumminess of every hexagram is in the sixth line, in the sixth tone, in the sixth color. That sixth color is the horizon. It's the shores. We can never, ever, ever, hit the end of the horizon. So know that the outcome is always going to be extended out, but set yourself an outcome for even a month from now. Maybe the outcome a month from now is that you're going to feel satisfaction at a cellular level. You're going to begin to recognize, you're going to begin to notice it. And then maybe the outcome 3 months from now is that you're going to be able to see the awareness of the human design body graph. And maybe a year from now, that you will have your spiritual coaching business, your business, whatever that business is, online and connecting with the people that are so important to you, that they're waiting for you to just come into their lives. So just begin to play around with the outcome out there, so that when you reverse engineer and we bring it back, we use the human design body graph to not only move forward, but we can use it to move back as well, to reverse engineer your outcome. And when we do that, it's correct for you. You're using your own decision making. You're feeling your feelings. You're feeling all of that yumminess and moving forward with that. You are in a human body, and that cellular structure is the most important thing for you to recognize in your movement forward. All right, play around with the homework. What's your outcome? Play around with 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks. Play with that. Just play with that. Make it small, little, tiny steps. Now, if you would like to connect with me, I have opened up the Purpose-Driven Wealth Formula. I've created it into a 12-week program where you get to have this outcome. You get to set yourself up online with a pure structure, purpose-centric, living your design. If that's of interest to you, drop below, jump on a discovery call, and let's get you moving in that way. All right, friends, talk to you soon.